G'day and welcome to episode 3 of the V-Strom engine swap series. Today I'll be getting the motor back in. I'll be just showing getting the motor into position and bolted in. So first up, we'll go over a few things I found. This is the breather out of my airbox. Now what's disturbing about that is it's just falling apart. And this stuff was all through my airbox, which means it's probably gone all through my engine. So I've got another one of those on the way. Suzuki dealers don't seem to stock those, so I had to order it in. Only a couple of days, but I should have it Monday. Now I'll go over the pair system a bit better. Trying to find information on this, and there's a lot of contradicting information, but I'll share with you my experience. When I first got the bike, I found the throttle response to be very jerky. When I put the Delkevic pipe on, it ran okay. I took the baffle out and it was crackling and popping and carrying on, and it sounded terrible. So I decided to block the pair up. Stopped all the crackling and that. It still backfires and does a bit of a crackle on deceleration, which is fine, but it sounded horrible before that. So there's two ways you can go about that. The easiest way is just to block your system up. So these are the plates that connect to your cylinder head, and it goes up into this, which bolts into your airbox. So what I did was just lifted this hose here and blocked it up. If you can see, I've just got a bit of round bar, that's all I could find. And I'll put a clamp on it to hold it in place. But you can use a marble, ball bearing, top of a cap screw, whatever you want. That's the easy way to do it. This time I'm going to blank it off. I fitted blanking plates to the new motor. Now from what I can tell, a lot of people will put a resistor on the plug, unplug it, put a resistor on so it still thinks it's working, so you don't get a fault in your ECU. But I've been calling this a pump. Everything I read, they call it a pump, but to me, this looks like a solenoid valve. Inside there is a spring with a shaft. This is a coil, so that'd just pull down that piston, letting air into your exhaust. That'd just draw air from the airbox through the hoses into your exhaust. Yes, my plan is just to plug it in. I was worried because I thought this was a pump. If I capped it, and the pump was running, it might overheat. So I've just bought a little plug from Clark Rubber. That cost me $1.10. So all I'm gonna do is blank that off. And then I'm just gonna plug it in still, instead of mucking around with a resistor. What will happen, this will be opening and air won't go anywhere. So that's my plan for the power system. Whether that's right or wrong, I guess we'll find out. Now these thrust adjusting bolts were confusing me. Basically it is a adjustable spacer. It's the easiest way of putting it. This is your engine mount. There is clearance between the engine and these mounts so you can get the motor up into position easy. You wind this in to take up the gap and then lock it up, and then you can do your bolts up to hold the motor. That's all it is. I was a bit confused. I undid the lock nut. I couldn't work out how to loosen this off, but it's very hard to see. There is small flats on there. Which turns out you need a 6-sided 23mm socket. And what would be really nice is if they made the other mount exactly the same, but of course it's a different size. That's the lock nut. I've made up a tool for that so I can tension it up properly. I just used a punch to undo it. This little stand I made up, I think is going to be even more useful than I thought. I just wanted to hold the engine, but because I've got it mounted in this front one, which doesn't actually get used, I can use that as a pivot. So my plan is to take this one out, pivot it up, just jam a podgy bar in there to start with to hold it, and then lift the front up, do the same. My cord on.
Other side, you're too far over.
Oh, yeah.
Come over a little bit. There you go. You can see the hole that's quite lined up.
That's all right, as long as it gets in there.
I think it is.
Rightio. Yeah, so I'll try and get a bolt in that. So I need to get that front up before I can get it in further. So from here I'm just going to have to jack it up bit by bit, get in what I make sure it's clear and on the way. Probably get rid of that now. Thought I'd found some cables I hadn't tagged, but because the new motor doesn't have the same tags on it, I'm going to have to reference back to the other motor. All good, we're going well. Don't like that though. Rightio, it's jack's at the end of its limit. Just grab hold of that, maybe I can. So I've just stuck my bar in there again, hold that up. Now I'll mount this back up, then I can get the bolt in. That nut on. I've got that bolt just pushed in, I've just got to do it up a bit. Oh yeah, we've got bolt in, a bolt in there. We've got all three mounting bolts in now. Still got to tension them all up, but we'll leave it at that for a minute. I'll just go and have a break, get something to drink and eat, and then we'll come back, tension those bolts up, and then yeah, we'll be good to go. I'll start clipping everything back in again. Rightio, back soon. So it's just a matter of tensioning up the thrust adjusters, the lock nuts, then the bolts. We have all the torque settings there. I'm doing up thrust adjuster B and G, which is both 12 Newton meters. Just got to make sure that the lock nut's backed off. Oop. I have to take that lock nut right out, it's interfering. One's 12. Very good, that one's done. The lock nut gets tension up to 45 Newton meters. So this is on the right hand side of the bike. This one gets tension to 55 Newton meters. Next we do up the pinch bolt. This rear one's kind of like the front axle on your forks. You tighten it up and then you do up the pinch bolt. So we tension this one up next to 93. So next we do this one to 55 Newton meters. Done. That's the mounts all tensioned up. Now I've just got to make sense of all this mess. I'm not going to record all of this because it's just the opposite of taking it out. I think the last video is probably going to be long enough. So I've got all this to sort out still. So motor's all back in. We're pretty much all done. I've got to put crash bars back on. I've got to put the bash plate on, front guard on, lots of little things like that. I've put oil in. I've filled the coolant up, overfilled the coolant. That'll drop down though as soon as it starts, I think, I hope. There's a weird procedure for bleeding the coolant. You have the bike running, swing the bike side to side while tapping the thermostat, which is in there. So yeah, wish me luck with that. Rightio. Engine on. It's all going to sound a bit weird. Very good. She sounds pretty good. I thought that might drop. Well, that sounds pretty good. Sounds nice. I'm spitting a bit of shit out of the exhaust. No, really happy with that. So it's good to be finally riding the bike again. It's been a few weeks, been very nerve-wracking, very worried about doing this engine swap. It's like unknown history of the motor. You don't know what's involved. I've never swapped the motor before. There's a lot of work involved. Going over a few things, I found stuff I'd missed, so just little things like my O2 sensor was still loose. I hadn't plugged my thermostat in on the radiator. Just funny little things like that. It's so easy to miss. And of course, recording it all doesn't help. Anyway, my fuel is flashing, so let's get some fuel into her. We'll go over the V-power here. I know, $32 to fill my bike up. Feels better. What do we got? Nothing coming? I'm really happy with that. I hope you've enjoyed the series. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.